Motherfucking beautiful motherfucking Sunday, man. I know I ain't do no video yesterday. I was watching wrestling. I ain't gonna count. And for those who who fuck with WWE, I used to. I don't know if I could. It's certain shit I can react to. I had did the WWE video last week. They blocked that bit, but yeah, man, and they blocked that bit. I'm trying to get on my Patreon. Patreon tripping like a motherfucker. I probably gotta upload my videos on the computer type shit. But yeah, if we can get ready to eat some Sunday dinner too. That's why I went ahead and go ahead and start the video. Mr. Ballin, we goddamn coming out these videos now late as fuck. I would have been done with this video, been did it, and all that shit. But yeah, man, we gotta never ask this question unless you want to die. Survivor's guilt. Fuck no.
On the morning of February 6th, 1821, 4 young men stood on the deck of a small boat out in the Pacific Ocean. The sun was out, it was beautiful and warm, the water was crystal blue, but none of these 4 men were paying any attention to their surroundings. Instead, all of them were just standing there in total silence, staring at each other. Finally, one of the 4 men spoke up. His name was Owen Coffin, and he was 18 years old. And Owen, like the other 3 men, had grown up on the water. In fact, all 4 of these men had grown up on this small island called Nantucket off the coast of Massachusetts, where the main industry there was whaling, which meant sailors like these 4 men would go out and hunt whales and slaughter them for their oil. So, from the time Owen and the rest of these men were very little, they were out on the water learning how to sail, and they were also learning the customs of the sea. And there was one custom in particular that Owen wanted to talk about right now with the other 3 men. So, in a very serious and hushed tone, Owen asked the question of the other 3 men that sailors referred to as the delicate question. And after Owen asked the so-called delicate question, the other 3 men, who were already very serious and just kind of standing there in silence, suddenly their eyes started to go wide and their mouths went agape. And then again, all of the men just kind of fell into total silence. The only sound they could hear was the splashing of the waves against the side of the boat. The captain of this vessel was a man named George Pollard. He was 28 years old, and he was actually Owen's older cousin. And what George wanted to say to Owen in response to his delicate question was no. But George didn't say that. Instead, he just put his hands up over his mouth.
Fuck is a delicate question.
And stared kind of incredulously at Owen and the other 2 men who were also teenagers. Their names were George and Barzillai. And as he stared at these other 3 men, he realized that their answers to the delicate question was a resounding yes. They knew it had to be a yes. They had to do this. And even though George could totally override them because he was the captain and so technically in charge, he knew in this situation, under this particular custom, he couldn't overrule them. And so, with his hands still over his mouth, George just nodded a yes. Yes, let's go forward with this custom. And so, with a unanimous decision to move forward, Owen slowly reached down and pulled out the ship's logbook from underneath one of the seats behind him. And then he opened up the book and he flipped to the back pages of the logbook, which were totally blank, and he grabbed one of the pieces of paper and he ripped it out of the book. Then, Owen began to rip this piece of paper into strips. First, he ripped 3 identically...
I ain't gonna count. Y'all need to go over there, Mr. Ballin, Mr. Ballin, tell him goddamn. We missed them goddamn 3 top real photos and all them. I missed those videos. I ain't gonna count. But these single stories, they be it. But I mean, I ain't got done with this one, but the other one I did last week. Was it last week? It was kind of mid. I ain't gonna count. About the girl, goddamn. It was about the girl and she found guilt. She had found her husband. Her husband, the one who killed her, and the mama goddamn had a ghost. That shit was kind of mid. I ain't gonna count.
Pieces of paper, and he held up all 3 at the same time to show the others that these are the 3 that are the same. And each of the 3 nodded their head. Yes, we see that. and then Owen reached down, he grabbed the paper again, and he ripped a fourth strip out, and this one was dramatically shorter than the other three. And so Owen held up this much shorter piece, and he showed Charles, George, and Barzillai, and again, they all kind of nodded in agreement. Yes, we see, that's the short piece. And so once the whole group was satisfied that they had their 4 strips, Owen took off his hat, he put all 4 strips inside, mixed it around, and held out his hat. It was time. The first man to reach into Owen's hat was Owen's older cousin and the captain, George. He reached in, he pulled one of the strips of paper out, closed it in his fist so he had no idea which one it was, and pulled it back and held it close to his chest. And then one by one, each of the other men did the same thing, reaching in, grabbing their strip, not looking at it, and holding it against their chest. And then once all the strips had been taken, at the exact same time, all 4 men extended their hands into the middle of the circle they were standing in, and they opened their hands palm up to reveal which strip they got. And
I'm trying to see what the fuck the question is. I ain't gonna lie. What's the question? And oh, damn, my bad. I know I keep pausing. But one more thing. Goddamn. It's a lot of Mr. Baller videos I've seen I haven't react to. I'm gonna get to them bitches too. I know y'all be wanna see them bitches too. It's a lot of them. I just don't wanna keep the same, you know what I'm saying, circle going. And I'm trying to react to new people too though. You feel me? So
George, Charles, and Barzillai all had the identical long pieces, and Owen, the 18-year-old, the younger cousin of the captain, the one who had ripped up the strips, he had the short strip. And immediately, when his older cousin, George, saw this, he yelled out, "No, let me take that one." But Owen said, "No, this is customary. I want."
come on, Mr. Baller, man.
And so after a few
I got down Camaro 5 in a bit. I ain't never seen that Camaro run this bitch. That bitch a drop
moments
top.
of the men kind of collecting themselves and calming down,
I got a window right here.
Charles
That's what I'm
then
saying.
grabbed the logbook again, flipped to the back of it, pulled out another blank page, and he ripped it into strips again, except now he was only ripping them into 3 strips, 2 long that were identical and 1 short. And once again, as he ripped them, he held them up to show the other men, to show this was a fair process. Then Charles took off his hat, put the 3 strips inside, and extended it to George and Barzillai. Owen was not a part of this round. And so George and Barzillai, one by one, reached in, took their strip, held it to their chest, and then Charles, he would take the last strip, he would hold it to his chest, and then once all the men had their pieces, they held their hands out into the middle of their now smaller circle, they opened their hands, palm up, and this time it would be Charles, the man who ripped up this second round, who would discover he had the short strip. And as soon as Charles saw this, he threw it on the ground and he ran to the other side of the boat and began screaming, "I can't do this! I can't do it!" Meanwhile, Owen, George, and Barzillai didn't even move or flinch. They just stood there waiting for Charles to calm down, because they knew he knew this was a very important custom, and once you begin doing it, you can't just stop. Charles would have to come back over and play his role. And so after a few minutes of Charles still kind of calling out that he couldn't do this, tears were coming down his face, he finally wiped the tears, he calmed himself down, and he walked back over to the group, who again, they hadn't moved. George, Barzillai, and Owen, they're just standing there waiting to continue this custom. And so as Charles began coming back over, looking ready to continue, George, without even saying anything, reached down and unlatched a door on the side of the boat. He opened it up, he reached in, and he pulled out this long object that was wrapped in canvas. And then he handed this object to Charles. And then once Charles had possession of this object,
Is it night? I think it was 8. That's why I was thinking about going back when he said the date, because I really didn't catch the date. I think it said 1800. Bitch, how big was the fucking boat, bitch? Damn. The boat ain't that motherfucking big.
Owen, the man who had first drawn the short piece of paper, said to the group, "Now it's time for a moment of silence." Even though at this point, none of the men were talking. But still, they formed a tight circle with Charles holding this object, and they all bowed their heads, and they just stood there in total silence. And then, once Owen raised his head, the other 3 did as well, and Owen, one by one, touched the shoulders of each of the men and reminded them that this had been a fair process. Then, without saying another word, Owen turned away from the group. He walked over to the edge of the boat, looking out over the water. He got down on his knees. He made sure his posture was good, and he looked out over the water. Owen had always loved the ocean, even though his own father had died out at sea. But this particular whaling expedition that Owen had been on, he thought went extremely well, and he was very proud of what they had all.
Bro, y'all know what fucking boat I thought he was talking about. Y'all, hey, bro, y'all, hey, cause y'all be getting at me in the comments too, bro. Hey, bro, chill the fuck out. I wasn't thinking about a boat, bitch. I was talking about one of them fishing little boats. That was the type of boat I thought I was talking about when he talking about he walked across the ocean. Yeah, I was like, that's why I asked how big is the fucking boat. Y'all been like, get at me in the comment section, bro. I'm high. Leave me alone. I forgot about them.
And Owen was especially proud to be a part of this particular.
You know what's crazy too?
This custom.
You know what's crazy too, bro? I used to play Assassin's fucking Creed. Bro, I used to play Assassin's Creed, bro. I forgot about them. Bro, tripping. And no, I do not play Spider-Man. Y'all sending me the damn Spider-Man. I don't play. I ain't got no PlayStation 5, my guy. I am a Xbox person, my guy. Xbox.
Was one that so few people ever took part in,
about trying that
but
one,
all sailors knew about it. It was kind of like the forbidden custom.
Okay.
And here he was playing a central role, which really required a lot of strength. And so, feeling very proud of himself, Owen, after looking out over the water for a few more moments, he bent down and put his chin on the edge of the boat, which signaled to Charles it was time. And then once Charles saw that Owen was in position, he stepped away from George and Barzillai and walked over to Owen, carrying this object wrapped in canvas. And then once he was right behind Owen, without saying a word to him, he unwrapped the object, and it was a rifle. And once the rifle was uncovered, he placed the barrel against the back of Owen's head, and then he fired a shot. And instantly, Owen slumped to the ground, dead, and Charles kind of staggered back and fell on the deck and let out the strangled scream.
Alright, now, hold the fuck on. Hold the fuck on. I'm saying though, like, after I seen Fred, okay, he talking about wrestling. My boy Dre, I think that's your name, nigga. I be high, man. Y'all back, man, look, hold on. I think that's his name, bro. I never mind, I got my notification shit off. Never mind. I look at when that's how you done do the video. Anyway, yeah, man. What the fuck? Hey, dude.
Covered, placed the barrel against the back of Owen's head, and then he fired a shot. And instantly, Owen slumped to the ground, dead, and Charles kind of staggered back and fell on the deck and let out the strangled scream. He couldn't believe what he had just done, but he knew there was no other choice. Once they decided to do this sacred custom, they had to take it to the end. And so George, who had just witnessed the execution of his younger cousin, was deeply troubled and pained, but he too knew they had to bring this custom to the finish line, which meant it was George's turn to step forward and play his part. And so George walked up to his now dead younger cousin, and George pulled out a serrated knife and cut off Owen's head. And then once Owen's head was removed, he placed it on the deck so Owen's face was looking away from the other men, like he couldn't see what they were going to do. And then once the head was in place, George went back to Owen's body and began cutting him open and pulling his organs out and handing them to Charles and Barzillai. George also began cutting off long strips of Owen's flesh, creating some...
Hey, bro, I know y'all see my eye red, bro. I'm high as hell. Bro, ain't no fucking way. Boy, ain't no fucking way.
His organs out and handing them to Charles and Barzillai. George also began cutting off long strips of Owen's flesh, creating sort of like fillets. And then, even though there was a spot on the boat to have a fire, the three men decided they just could not wait. And before long, the only sound that could be heard on board this little boat floating out at sea on the Pacific Ocean was the sound of Charles, George, and Barzillai tearing into Owen's raw flesh with their teeth, turning their beards bright red with his blood. The delicate question that Owen asked the other men at the beginning of this story was one of the most feared questions amongst sailors. And it was only asked if there was a shipwreck or some sort of emergency that happened.
You know what, crazy? I know I keep pausing. I don't give a fuck. I mean, in my turn. As I'm watching, as he talking about some cutting open and eating flesh, I'm watching the test change something else, cause gameplay too at the same time. That's crazy. I'm watching TV and doing the reaction at the same time. And I'm getting that motherfucking game right along with Mortal Kombat. But yeah, back to the story though. These motherfuckers crazy.
Which meant the group had almost no chance of survival. Only in those circumstances was the delicate question appropriate. And what it was do we draw lots to determine which one of us dies so the other can eat them in order to have a better chance at survival? And so during that first round, when Owen had hungry, short that's why you bring shit before, that determined he would be the one who was murdered and eaten. And then in the second round, when Charles drew the short strip of...
Bruh, hold on, bruh. They talking about... They ain't have fishing rods back then. I don't think. In the 18, man, hell no, they ain't had no goddamn fishing rod. I was finna say some stupid shit. But they could have got down. I know they used to go fishing back in the day. Hell, I know they used to go fishing back in the day. They could have went fishing before and then did all that, cooked all that shit. They said they could make a goddamn fire on the boat. So they could have made a fire on the boat and cooked the fucking fish. What the fuck, bruh?
Round, Owen had drawn the short strip of paper that
y'all let me know.
He would be the one who was murdered and eaten. And then in the second round, when Charles drew the short strip of paper, that meant he would be the one to kill Owen. On February 6th, 1821, the day that Owen posed the delicate question, he and the other three men had been lost at sea for the past 3 months after a whale had struck the side of their whaling boat and...
Why the fuck he didn't say that at the beginning? Did he say that at the beginning or I missed that? I gotta rewatch this video. I am when I react to it anyway, but I mean edited, but did he say that the first time or this is his first time saying that? Cause I did not hear that part. 3 months is crazy. And you know how big a motherfucking whale is? Nigga, a whale can kill a shark. So imagine. Dead ass. It's in the food chain. I went to school, nigga, and I graduated. Finna go to college.
He and the other three men have been lost at sea for the past 3 months after a whale had struck the side of their whaling boat and left them adrift with almost no food and no water. There had been other men on board the Essex who had died from starvation and exposure, and their bodies had been consumed by the surviving sailors until on February 6th, they were down to just these 4 men and no more bodies to eat, which is why they decided it was time. They had to ask the delicate question.
Thank you so much, Taylor. So the cap for this PK is actually 200,000.
Bingo. The mafia boss got arrested. He asked the crook to save his wife.
No. 17 days after Owen sacrificed himself. So
and like crazy thing is, but I know ass like that be popping up on my shit. That's why I often hit y'all with 5 on. Gotta get mine, nigga. I gotta get mine, nigga.
Could eat him.
Hey,
another boat happened to drift past the stranded Essex boat, which now only contained Charles and George. Barzillai had died of starvation 5 days after they killed Owen, and Barzillai had been eaten by George and Charles as well. And as this other ship passed by the Essex, and they looked on board, all they saw were skeletons of the men that had died and been eaten, and Charles and George were on opposite ends of the boat, curled up in a ball, chewing on human finger bones, trying to get the last bits of flesh off. And their bodies were totally emaciated, their hair and their beards were wild, they looked totally feral. And then, when this boat actually came up alongside the Essex and boarded to rescue Charles and George looked terrified. It was like they had totally lost their grip on reality. They had been lost at sea for 94 days and had consumed all of their friends, and so it makes sense they might go kind of crazy. But after this crew was able to get Charles and George fed and get them water and cleaned up, they kind of regained their composure and their sanity. And they were very thankful and happy to be alive.
Fuck.
The story of what happened to the crew of the Essex quickly spread all around the world, and in fact, it served as inspiration for Herman Melville to write his classic American novel, Moby Dick.
I seen that.
On March 22nd, 1994, 4 people were sitting in a circle inside of a dark church and placed that any spirits would figure out if one of Ouija board sessions of all time, but also it would have.
Yeah, that was crazy. Damn, that's 15 minutes. Damn, hey, boy, you getting shorter and shorter, huh? God damn, my wife tripping. Hey, but yeah. Hey, let me see what Buddy 9 was. I don't want that shit to goddamn. That shit to fuck around and start. Some fucking music playing on my iCloud. And I'm not trying to edit that shit out. Oh, Dre. Dre said so. Yeah, one of my scribes. Other people too. Caroline. Yeah, y'all my real folks, you feel me? Who be coming. Glow too. Glow, you know the fuck. Glow. Hey, Glow, hey, I fuck with Glow. That one of my subscribers, bro. Goddamn, he'll come to my shit, watch my shit, and then we'll be in the same other goddamn, or other stream was like Ciabatta. I think I only seen that nigga in Charlie. I seen him in Ciabatta shit too, I think. I don't know. I think I did. I don't know. And the kids, I don't know. But yeah, man. Give you a thumbs up, man. Like, share, subscribe, man. See how much on the next video. Let's ride, man. Don't you come back, no. What you say?